Stephen Ross was in love with Lamar Jackson during the draft process. Could the same ring true this year for a player like Jalen Milroe, especially if he tests off the charts at the Combine this week? We will also talk more in depth about the Combine, as some players we wanted to see aren't testing, and some are testing out of this world right now, like Landon Jackson. Oh my God, unbelievable stuff. And Shemar Stewart. We will talk about the Combine. Plus, we will talk about the Dolphins as they met with multiple tight ends. And I'll tell you who I think feels just like a Dolphins pick. Plus, we will discuss so much more. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. And as always, let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field down the near side, man open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it over the touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
You're listening to Fin Too Deep.
Tua back to throw. Blitz coming. They get to him. No, he takes off running. And he's in. Touchdown, Miami.
With the sixth pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Waddle.
Giving you unfiltered, informed, and controversial takes on the Miami Dolphins and the NFL Draft. Here's Reason and Neal.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one. I am at Finside headquarters. Neal is out on the road, but we are still here to dive Fin Too Deep with each and every one of y'all. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. Hey, man, we were a little tardy to the party, but we were just chopping it up backstage about a lot of stuff. Neal, Combine, full swing. We're seeing some crazy testing. We're seeing 40.5-inch verts from Landon Jackson. We're seeing 40-inch verts from Shemar Stewart, who's testing out here like he's a freaking generational athlete. Man, it's draft season is our season. How you feeling heading in to we're going to get into the more sexy positions over the next couple of days at the Combine.
Yeah, man. Once we start getting the Senior Bowl and the Combine, for us draft heads, it's my single favorite sporting event of the year, with a close second being the Stanley Cup playoffs. But I love draft season. I know that a lot of the top guys are making business decisions when it comes to the combine, and a lot of people, take that as the Combine's losing its steam. I actually look at it different. I love the guys that are there that compete and show in. And when I look at that, and there's people that are probably around the same grade on my draft board, give me the guy who plays at the Combine versus the guy who sits out, right? The guys that trust their ability, because it's a lot of showmanship out there. If you're afraid to run, what are you hiding? Are you afraid of your speed?
Yeah.
There's injuries happen, like a guy like Kenneth Grant. I don't think he has to do much at the Combine to show.
No.
But it's one of those things. I like Landon Jackson's out there, Shemar Stewart's out there, and right now their agents are probably happy they're out there because their stock will rise. Did
you see his broad?
Shemar?
Yeah.
or Landon. I mean, both of them, man. Yeah, I think Shemar Stewart
10-11 broad.
I think he's a guy that, if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, you should pay a lot of attention.
He's not going to be there. The way he's testing right now, and the
you think
buzz
he goes before?
Yeah, the buzz he had coming out of the Senior Bowl, and now his testing, bro. I want you to think about where he's testing, the percentiles he's in. 40-inch vert, 10-foot 11-inch broad at 6'5", 267. He's not going to be there, bro.
Yeah, he might not. Saints.
You know what he is?
Carolina.
You know what they're going to look at him, Neal? Kind of similar to us last year. People are going to look at him as a souped-up Chop Robinson in the sense of freakish athlete. Stats didn't back it up, but when you watch the tape and all you need is the right defensive mind, like a Weaver, to say, hey, I can get that guy right. Don't worry.
Yeah, for sure.
I clean it up.
I always thought that he was a guy that was going to go top 15. Once we saw,
I have a second round grade on him. I don't have a first on him. I have a second round grade on him.
Yeah, so. He's. I don't think he's the best edge in the group. I think that's obviously Abdul Carter. It just depends on where you have
Shemar's ceiling, bro. That's what that is, right? Like, you are drafting for the ceiling and the athlete right now. That's what you're drafting.
Yeah, like if I was the San Francisco 49ers, for example, I'd have a lot of interest in pairing him with Nick Bosa.
That's what I think's going to take him, eh? I think Will Johnson or Shemar Stewart, if Will's falling, is going to be the option.
I think Will's going to fall, and I saw that we met with him, and he's not running at the combine. A lot of people think he's hiding his speed. I don't know, like that. It's going to be interesting if he's there. I will say that.
I don't think so let's talk about this because you mentioned something. You mentioned all these people so Walter Nolan's not testing, Mike Green's not testing. Mike Green and Jack Sawyer, those are two guys that I think should be testing. I even think Walter Nolan should be testing given his character concerns and everything like that.
Yeah, he's fallen.
Yeah, I think there's a real possibility Mike Green and Walter Nolan might be there in the second now because of that.
Nolan. I've heard Nolan's definitely got some character stuff that came up, and
off the field.
He might, that's the thing with the ascension of guys that probably wouldn't have been in the top 48 picks with Landon Jackson before. I mean, he's a guy that I have a hard time keeping out of the top 48 now after this. I don't know if there's guys that are going to rise. So yeah, I mean, if there's concerns, we've seen it every year in the draft. There's somebody who people mock in the top 20 that are around midway through the second round, and then Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter bust on your TV and be like, "Here, teams, we're worried about X incident, Y incident." It happens every year, and it's what a bad time for bad information to come out on you.
Just don't meet Ian Rappaport at a Starbucks, huh?
Damn, man, I know. It sounds like they were.
Shout out to Jordan Schultz. Listen, I'm gonna have him on the show this offseason. I was gonna have him on the show last offseason, and the timing literally didn't just work. The one time he said, hey, let's do it right now, I was home with a sick kid. I wasn't available to do it. And then we just couldn't get it to line up. So Jordan Schultz has been nothing but a good guide to me, in our conversations. So shout out to Jordan Schultz, but I thought that was absolutely hilarious, Neal. And it was all over that. Let's talk about this. Now, I know Dolphin fans are up in arms over the Stafford stuff, but Neal, it's not the same situation. The Rams gave him permission to go speak to other teams. Tom Brady wasn't given permission to go speak to other teams when we got caught tampering. It's not the same situation. But what are your thoughts on the whole Stafford situation right now and what's going on over there in LA?
Well, I think the best quarterback available isn't Cam Ward. It's certainly not Shedeur Sanders. It's not Sam Darnold. Nobody in the draft or free agency. The best quarterback available right now is Matthew Stafford. And I see, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm doing everything I can to get Matt Stafford because I think that getting him makes them on the same playing field as a Baltimore or Cincinnati instantly. And, I am a Matt Stafford fan. But look, Tom Brady being interested in Matthew Stafford and then doubling down with a guy like Kyle McCord in the third round who has the vibe to me of somebody that Tom Brady would like makes a lot of sense. Matt Stafford, he's still got 2 good years of football, I think, in the tank. And I don't think because of his age and, contract status, I don't think you're going to have to give up. Like, I don't think the Raiders would have to part with the 6th pick in the draft to get Matt Stafford.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, I think they could get creative with it. And if you get Matt Stafford and you still have that number 6 pick, say you take a Tet McMillan or an Ashton Gentry to give yourself another skill guy, or you trade that pick back and acquire more for somebody who wants to move up. Like, getting a guy like Matt Stafford would immediately improve him. So I get that Tom Brady would be interested. It makes a lot of sense to me. I still think Matt Stafford's a top 6, 7 quarterback in football, despite where he is in his playing career. And damn, dude, whoever gets him, I mean, that's where, like, this, we all like to do mock drafts and everything. Before the first wave of free agency, it's just a waste of time. It really is.
That's why I don't do them. That's why I don't do them before free agency.
Yeah. There's no, like, if you do it right now and you take, I don't even know who it could be, but a tackle for the Dolphins and they sign, like, it's too premature. You got to see what they do in free agency, because not all teams do operate on a best player available approach, and everything can change drastically. So, like, mid-March, let it be free agency. I think early April is when real mock drafts have credibility, when teams' rosters are starting to settle, their team needs are clear and apparent. And, then it makes sense to plug and play, pay attention to people's draft trends and stuff like that. But, yeah, man, Stafford going to a team like the Raiders or the Giants, that does change the magnitude of the draft in the top 10, right? It really will. I mean, because I think there's so many quarterback-needy teams. Cam Ward's going to go in the first round. I think Shador's going to fall back a little bit. And, I know the hype train on Jackson Dart's real, but, man, like, I don't see him as a top 10 pick. So it's just one of those things for me, man. Like, I don't know. The supply and demand at the quarterback position, something's got to give.
I hate to cut you off. Shemar Stewart just ran a 4.6.
Yeah, he's going. He's flying up the board.
Holy Jesus.
Yeah, he's going. He could go as high as 4 to New England at this point, probably.
Wow.
That's insane. Well, here's what's insane, though. You're seeing this athleticism, but we know he's a heavy-handed, violent football player who's very physical. He can play the run better than he could get to the passer, but he's got the traits you need to develop to rush the passer.
Yeah, to be disruptive and break down the pocket. Yeah, for sure.
Right, because here's what I said, and it's not the same for Shemar Stewart as Chop Robinson, but everyone ripped Chop for his sack production. But in the 2 years he played at Penn State, he was top 3 in the nation both years in pressure rate. So, like, there is a difference between converting sacks and applying pressure. Stewart, I don't think, has really high numbers at anyone. But, like, after a strong showing against your peers at the Senior Bowl, followed up with being the MVP of the Combine here on day one, like, his stock's certainly soaring, and that 40 time definitely probably takes him out of play for us 13. That's insane. Good for him.
And James Pierce Jr. ran a 4.5.
I'll tell you this, man. If that guy falls around 2, and we did not take a pass rusher in round 1,
I don't think he's getting out of round 1.
Miami's not good with people with character concerns, but, man, I think James Pierce is being slept on big time in this draft.
I don't think he gets out of round 1, bro.
I don't know, man. It depends. I mean, it only takes one team to fall in love with you. And there's
I have a first round grade on him. And now the way he's testing, I don't see how it happens.
Yeah, for example, I like him and Stewart both better than Mike Green personally.
Yeah, well, I think Stewart has a ceiling, but it feels like right now, Mike Green and Pierce are just more polished. They're higher floor players right now. You know what I mean?
I mean, James Pierce's athleticism, it's not quite the level of Chops last year, but he is the pure best athlete probably out of the edge position. I would have said going into today, but Shemar Stewart has definitely put up serious competition to be that guy.
Yeah, Shemar Stewart has the highest ceiling probably in that class, eh? Crazy. Unbelievable. Let's talk about this because it's been a hot topic, Neal. Tight end. You know how I feel about it. All right. It's not so much speed, guys. It's explosiveness. Like the 10-yard splits, the 20-yard splits, the 3-cone, the short shuttle. This is just, you lose when men that size move that fast over a period of 40 yards. That's very impressive. Like, I'm sorry. I don't know. There's no other way to cut it, but it's when you get with those guys, it's you want to get into the shorter area quickness so you can see their explosiveness and get a range of it too. That'll matter as well. But tight end, Neal, you know where I'm at with this. You know where my stance is. I'm gonna be just salivating when I watch Gunnar Helm test. He is my man crush of this draft. One of my two man crushes at the position of this draft. The other being Luke Lachey, who Neal, I think if he's going to be a freaking steal on day 3 for whoever takes that guy.
Yeah,
that
like the round 5 type of guy.
Yeah. And I've seen people listen, and I know you've watched Luke Lachey for years. Have you seen this narrative out there that people are trying to say Luke Lachey isn't a good blocker? Do we not remember how many times he opened it up the field for Sam Laporta when Laporta was in Iowa? Yeah, he struggled this last year coming off that, I believe it was an ankle injury. He struggled a little bit coming off that ankle injury, and his blocking suffered a little bit this year. But Luke Lachey has been known as a really willing and capable blocker. So I've seen that narrative out there. I got to kill that number quick. But let's talk about this. Tyler Warren said he met with the Miami Dolphins. You got Colston Loveland. Some Dolphin fans, Neal, they're just sheep. They don't even know who Colston Loveland is, let alone they can't believe that Tyler Warren isn't the consensus number 1 tight end in this draft. They think they can't believe that. But a guy who met with the Dolphins, and we know he has extensive meetings with the Dolphins, that I think if he would have tested, another one I really want to see tested, I think a lot of Dolphin fans would have been clamoring for him, Neal. Mason Taylor. I think you look at the value, Neal, where you could get this guy potentially in the 2nd or 3rd round. You don't have to spend a top 15 pick on a Colston Loveland or a Tyler Warren. It's the same reason why I love Gunnar Helm so much. Look at what he can do after the catch. He can play inline. He can play in the slot. He can do everything these people want from Tyler Warren. But he looks like he's a better athlete, like he separates better. I think Tyler, you're a Penn State fan. I think Tyler Warren's big issue at the next level is going to be route running and separation, right? I think that's going to be a very big issue for him. But I digress. You look at the value of some of these guys that are going to test. So we're meeting with some of these guys. What do you think about tight end? And I want to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with me? Does Mason Taylor scream Miami Dolphin to you? Or, you look at the athleticism, you look at the improvement as a blocker, you look at the improvement as a playmaker every year, you look at the bloodline. Jason Taylor would be in the building more, and I think that's something we can all agree we want. Doesn't he just scream Miami Dolphins pick on day 2 to you, or am I nuts?
No, listen, first of all, tight end, like Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland are both going to go in the 1st round. It just depends on what flavor you like.
Exactly.
Sure, Tyler Warren might be more all around, but there is no way that he does not have the catch radius that Colston Loveland has. I don't think he has the ability to go up and get the ball like Colston Loveland.
Or the ceiling.
Or the ceiling. And so I like Loveland a little bit more, but I think Warren would actually be a better fit for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because I think losing Durham Smythe as that inline. But for me, when I look at the Dolphins roster construction and their needs, and I understand that Jonah's coming off a career year and he's yet to get an extension, but 13 to me just screams too rich to take a tight end at this point, especially with where the board I think could fall. With that said, though, I said this when I was in a conversation this week, I said if I had to put $1,000 on it right now, who I think the 4 most likely players for the Dolphins to take at 13, it would be Jedi Barron, Armand Membu, Kenneth Grant, and Tyler Warren. I think those are the 4 guys that the Dolphins like a lot. And, I do think that there's probably some intrigue by the Dolphins and Tyler Warren. I think where a lot of people go wrong, and I'm not we get recency bias with guys like Sam Laporta and Brock Bowers, and just think the next guy's on the same level. And I think, first of all, there's a huge gap between Bowers and Laporta for me. But there's Brock Bowers and Tyler Warren. I mean, we're just talking
massive
different languages.
gap.
Yeah, we're talking different languages.
Colston Loveland is closer to Brock Bowers than Tyler Warren is. That's a fact.
Like Brock Bowers is what I call a gold jacket type of player, which not this year's class. I don't think I have one player.
Generational.
Right. He's a once in 10-year type of tight end.
Yeah, you were like, he's a tight end who might be the best player in this whole draft last year.
Right. And he went to a shitty situation and still was that, right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if we did get our hands on him, we might be having different conversations about the Dolphins right now. I really think that. That's why I always think that when you have opportunity to get great players, you got to jump on them. But yeah, look, I think Warren's actually going to go before us. So I think
But you know Greer, Neal. You've watched this guy operate. I agree with you. I think Warren's going to fit. I think he's a better fit than Loveland to what they need right now. Like if they didn't have if they didn't have Johnny, you could go either. But I don't think they view Tyler Warren. You know him. Do you really see a guy who's all about positional value in the draft? Do you really see him taking a tight end in the top 15, let alone one we can both agree on? He didn't scream generational when you watch the film like Brock Bowers.
I don't agree with it. But I think I will say this. I could see it being a sneaky pick for the Dolphins. And here's one thing that we drafted.
I'll go out on a limb. If he's on the board, I bet you they'd take Ted McMillan over him.
Yeah.
Because given the Tyreek situation, how bare that receiver room is, Neal, let's not all act like we're naive too. They're not going to move off Julian Hill. We know they're going to give him another year. So you're looking for a tight end 3, tight end 2. They're not going to move off of Julian Hill. They're going to give him another year. Watch.
He's the new Liam Eichenberg, the guy that will fail and just continue to be put in position to play.
110%, bro. You're 110% right.
He was awful last year, dude.
And that's why I think they're not going to invest. They're going to look at that and be like, we got 2 tight ends.
Yeah, I think he goes though. I think the Jets are sneaky for Warren, and I think the Saints are sneaky for him. And
Saints makes sense.
I think he goes before us, and we don't have to face that problem. And I don't know, I'm not saying it's a problem. He's going to be around the 20th player on my board. I just think that that's rich for me. I'm just being honest.
I think him and Loveland are rich, and they're the best ones in the class.
To me, this is a prime example because here, again, we got to see what happens in free agency. I think the Dolphins are gonna sign 2 starting caliber guards in free agency. I can see a James Daniel and Will Hernandez both type of moves where they sign 2 guys, and that's not to say, look, I know Miami likes Armand Membu, and there's no rumor anymore. Everybody likes Armand Membu.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I haven't got a chance to talk to you about this, but an executive at Baltimore said, because I said my comp was Brandon Albert for him. That he reminded me of the guy who could play tackle, but he might have been an all-pro type of guard. And a guy from Baltimore told me, he's like, you know what's funny? When we watched him, we thought he looked like Marshall Yanda. And imagine that type of value on your offensive line. Marshall Yanda, Zach Martin was Zach Martin rivals John Hanna for being the best guard that ever played this game. And Marshall Yanda, I'm shocked that he didn't get in the Hall of Fame this year. Shocked. He was unbelievably as a right guard. That's the type of value you could get with a guy like Membu. My fear with him,
and with Jackson always being injured, Neal, you can kick him out to right tackle and then you can kick. See, this is why I want you to double up in free agency. Listen. Let's say you get Will Hernandez and Will Freeze. Let's say you go out and get this, and you go get 2 studs. I would still, if Membu falls to 13, I would still take him because Jackson's going to get hurt. Miss me with trying to sell me that Keon Smith is something. And has Jackson or Patrick Paul shown you anything at tackle to deem you passing on a talent like Membu, who to me, he's my OT1. I've been talking about it for the last week and a half. Hey, I've been telling my viewers he's itching at me to put him over Campbell. He's itching. I'm playing my flag in that. He's OT1, especially given our situation. He can play right guard and right tackle, which is our weakest side right now, given Jackson is more injured than Tua Tagovailoa. So if you're worried about Tua and you're out on Tua, you better be out on Austin Jackson with that same energy, okay? And look at how bad that line fell down after Hunt left. And you put that guy next to Aaron Brewer, we want to run more power and inside zone stuff. That's a good start, brother. That's a good start.
Frankly, the trendy name for Miami for a long time has been Kelvin Banks Jr.
Yeah.
And Membu's just a better player. Like, that's just it is what it is. Yeah, you put on the Georgia tape for Kelvin Banks, Jalen Walker beat him up, owned him. But destroyed him.
You look at Kelvin Banks and you look at the movement ability and you look at you see reps. Yeah, he's got raw power. He's one of those guys where he needs to be coached up in terms of fundamentals, like, his hand placement and, with anchoring in his footwork, he needs to be coached up. You can see the tools are there. Membo looks like he's more polished and all the tools are there.
He's NFL ready.
He looks like he's NFL ready. Plus, he looks like I would be more comfortable sticking. I don't know, man. I got Membo and Campbell, and I know NFL people inside the NFL view it too. I got them as tackles first. I got them as tackles that can play guard, not guards that can play tackle because they're converted. I got them the other way.
I have Membu as a tackle for sure. I think Campbell can get the job done, but I think his effectiveness to me is what Brandon Sheriff did. But they're both very good players. It's not going to happen, but I've seen the guys that are the experts that I put in quote. A lot of people are starting to really put Tyler Booker at 13 to Miami, which Tyler Booker's my 10th overall player. I just put that out there. But I think 13 for just a pure guard isn't going to happen. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Yeah. The Dolphins are not going to do it. It's not. They got to have the ability to kick outside for the Dolphins to do it. They're not going to invest that high in a guard. I think they invest free agency dollars in it. Mm-hmm. But I'd be shocked if they spent 13. I just view this as a chance to get a premier player to add to your defensive side of the ball. And personally,
Kenneth,
I would like to get Kenneth Grant gives you. Grant gives you that interior pass rush. He gives you that interior pass rush. I think he's going to get better at it. If he is – because if you remember that draft when we took Wilkins, Dexter Lawrence was the boring one. Dexter Lawrence was the guy that could only play the run. But Dexter Lawrence has more sacks than Christian Wilkins in his career, right? So it's some of these guys figure it out. I think Kenneth Grant is a disruptor, and – He plays the game the right way. I told you this earlier. I have Kenneth Grant better than Mason Graham, and I'm going to probably be the only person that has that. But the more I watch that tape,
I think ceiling wise, it's there. I think it's. But I look at it this way, kind of that's where I thought you were going with it. And I said, that. Remember how the majority of the scouting community favored Dexter Lawrence over Christian Wilkins?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
and
I'll be honest.
What did we end up going? But where did we end up going? We ended up going Christian Wilkins, right? And that's what it feels like. I look at Chris Greer, and I feel like he'd be on the same page as you. Dude, if that guy would have tested today, you wouldn't have had a shot at him. We're all loving Shemar Stewart. If that man would have tested today, he would have. The guy's been clocked at 18.75 miles per hour at that size. At 330.
Reason, let me ask you a question. If they won it, which man alive has access to whatever the fuck he wants at Michigan?
Exactly. Same reason why. Listen, can I be honest with you? That's another reason why Will Johnson, bro. I honestly think.
I think he's in play. I think Will Johnson's in play.
Yep. That's the guy they want to run to the podium for. I'm telling you right now. They just let Fuller walk. I'm telling you, because this is my offseason plan. I don't know if I've heard this, but check this out. Don't get Justin Reed. Don't get Javon Holland. They're going to cost you anywhere from $15 to $20 million a year. You could probably go get Jeremy Chin and Justin Simmons for $16 million for them combined, right? Add them to Patrick Morris. You're going to keep Elijah Campbell. Maybe he's not going to, but especially after he tests, I'm hoping a guy like Nick Manawari drops you. But hey, in the second round. But Andrew
I think
Makuba would
top
be
25.
yeah, I know. Especially after he tests. Andrew Makuba, I think, is going to test very well. They might be high. Xavier Watts, maybe one of those guys falls into 48. But anyways, imagine if you add those two guys like a Jeremy Chin and a to the room with already Elijah Campbell, Patrick McMorris, and you added Justin Simmons as well, and then you and then Will Johnson falls into your lap. Like, see, I we've talked about this. I think they're going to be really high on Benjamin Morrison. I know they're going to like Jahdae Barron, but I don't think they're going to like Jahdae Barron as much as people think he is, and I'll tell you why. I have him projecting as a guy in year one. He starts in the slot, and year 2, year 3, okay, he can move out to the outside. That's how I view his transition. I don't have him as a guy I'm sticking on the on the outside right away. I'm just not. They believe in Kader Kohu. I don't think they're gonna take a guy who's probably, at least if you're going by how I view him, I don't think they're gonna take a guy who's primarily a slot really high. You know what I mean? Like, I think Benjamin Morrison makes more sense. You know what I mean? Like, I really do.
I like Jahdae Barron, but I don't want him at 13. 13's too high for me. I'll just be honest. He's too high for me.
So, but yeah, I think Will Johnson's the one they want, bro. Kendall Fuller, and you want to hear? I'll make a bold prediction. I think they would trade up for Will Johnson to get in front of San Francisco because they just lost Javarius Ward.
That's the competition. I think that's the competition. I think
we got to hope Shemar Stewart falls to them because I think they'll jump on Shemar. But Will Johnson, I'm worried about. Yeah. I think Will Johnson, Membu, or Kenneth Grant at 13, home run. If Gene T's on the board, I'm trading back. I'm seeing who wants to move up for him, and I'm trading back. Like, listen, why am I go give me Bashal Tootin on day 3, baby. That's my guy. Go give me something like that guy's going to test out of this water. Runs with straight power, can break tackles. He's going to run like low 4.3s. I have Jaden. I have what's his face? Jaden to
Jalen
run
Milroe from Texas.
Yeah, I have him to run the fastest 40.
Him or the kid from Delaware probably will, right? Marcus Yarns.
Yarns. Yeah.
Yeah, they're two super quick guys. Yeah, look, I'll tell you what, speaking of running backs, I don't know if you looked at Mel Kiper's last draft, but he had Marion going 12 to Dallas.
Can I be honest with you, dog? My number 2 is Caleb Johnson, not Hampton for me. I think Caleb Johnson's going to be the real deal, bro.
My number 2 is Quinshon Judkins.
He's okay. I don't know how it's going to look when I do my man crush list, but it's between Judkins, Tootin, and Caleb Johnson's going to make it. But those are my 3 like big crushes at that position. And I don't know who's going to make it. I only picked 2 at each position, but it's going to become Tootin and Judkins. I love Judkins too, bro. He's my 3. He's my RB3.
In round 5, you can definitely find somebody who's a good running back that can even out that room.
Dude, Alf made a good point. Neal, doesn't it make sense they're going to go get a guy like Elijah Mitchell? Who drafted him?
Yeah, McDaniel.
Yeah, bro. I that makes sense. Don't spend a lot of money. Potential high ceiling. And then I think they draft a guy on day 3, and I think they add a couple UDFAs.
Yeah, there'll be somebody. There'll be somebody there. There'll be somebody there that they have to get. They're going to get a running back in this draft. They're going to.
Yeah, my issue is, listen, that safety class is so top heavy that if you don't handle it properly in free agency with at least getting one of those cheap vets, man, once you get beyond like Winston, like what do you really got?
Dude, I think that we're going to go into this season with our weakest position clearly being safety. I just have a feeling it's going to be, because you're right. I mean, there's Starks and there's Eamon Worry. Like, Watts makes a lot of picks, man, but I don't know if Watts is a guy that I really want.
I like Makuba better.
I like Makuba. I do like both Penn State guys. I like Malachi Moore from Alabama, more of the Swiss Army knife. But honestly, like after that, like Jonas Sanker's a good player for Virginia.
Yeah, he's okay.
But then you get really bare after
It's
that.
thin.
Like
it's
it drops. And I feel the same way about corner. Like I feel like once you get out of the first or second round,
I agree.
corner has a huge drop off too. It's
that's why I would understand Starks at 13, Neal, because I don't think Amanawari, like you said, he's not getting you at 48, whereas a couple months ago you might have had a prayer.
Starks is better. Starks is a better player. I know that like he didn't make as many plays on the ball this year as he has in the past. Starks still played really good football.
I got a first round grade on both.
Yeah, Starks is in my top 6-7 players. I'm a big Malachi Starks fan. It makes a lot of sense. But I say this, at 13, that's the beauty of this. It's because of the depth of the defensive line, the edge group, and the offensive interior. Like, you can go in there and kind of take a wild card type of pick. Like, I will say this, cornerback is a major need for the Miami Dolphins. We all joke about it, but Ramsey's slowing down. He's not the player he was 2 years ago.
That's why you can take a quarter, right?
Right. Cam Smith's proven nothing. Cater Co, who's a restricted free agent. They just cut Kendall Fuller. Like, cornerback to me is a massive, massive need at this point. So, they have to, I'll be honest. I've watched plenty of tape of Will Johnson. He might not have elite speed, but he has very good NFL adequate speed. He's a good player, man.
Bro.
Yeah, he's to me, he was a top 5 pick in this draft. That's fallen because he had an injury last season. And when those type of players fall in your lap, it's hard not to take them.
I'm a Billy Bowman out of Oklahoma.
He's getting a lot of hype. He's getting a lot of hype the last week or so.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. How much have you watched of him?
I watch a great deal, and he's okay. I think he's more of a center.
He's a
good athlete.
But my issue, Neal, is if y'all watch that Green Bay game, he's a tackling nightmare at times. He is not a good tackler at times, at all.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Billy Bowman.
And you said the Green Bay game.
No, I'm saying if you watch the Green Bay game and we missed 20 plus tackles, then you watch the Billy Bowman film, you're gonna be like, Jesus Christ, don't let this guy near me.
Yeah, he's a cover guy. He's not gonna do a lot around the line of scrimmage, no doubt.
I think Dean Smith did make a good one. I do think Trey Amos is a little bit of a sleeper. Just I'll tell you, receiver, too many people are sleeping on. Too many people are sleeping on Trey Harris.
Oh yeah, I think he's going to go real quick in round 2. Real quick.
Yeah.
I like him.
Denzel Burke's in my top 6, but he's one of those guys where after you get past him, you're weak. You know,
he was much better 2 years ago than he was last year.
Yeah, that's for sure too.
He had some tough games this year.
But look at McMorris. McMorris's film of the year he got drafted was not good. You go back 2 years before he got drafted, the film was good, and you saw why the scouting, they fell in love with him, right? So, man, we're gonna talk about receiver when that goes down. But listen, a guy I can't wait till the test, and I got a Twitter post all ready to go. I can't wait to watch Savion Williams test, bro. Holy!
And you see that he wants to work out running back too. I saw.
Yeah, they requested that he worked out. There was multiple players that were requested to test out at other positions.
Fullback Howard Cross was asked to play fullback, the defensive tackle from Notre Dame. I thought that was interesting.
Well, I'm shocked that when I looked at the list, I didn't see Harold Fannin was asked to test at a different position, which shocked me a little bit.
Yeah, because he's kind of he's actually really tough after the catch. He breaks a lot of tackles, but he is lighter. You know what I mean? He looks thinner when he's going. Oh, we didn't. So you asked about Mason Taylor.
Yeah.
Dude, here's my thing. The biggest problem I have with the Dolphins right now is that gap from 48 to 98 sucks. Not having a pick for 50 picks between round 2 and the end of round 3 is brutal. And I think they have to find a way, even if they have to trade a future pick to break that. If they have to trade back, they have to figure out a way to do it. That everyone's talked about it. Daniel Jeremiah, Adam Schefter. You can get guys at 12 that you get at 49. You have to be able to find. if you can get 3 of those type of players in this draft, you walk away with a really, really good draft, right? Like, it's interesting because if they have to wait from 48 to 98 to make a pick, man, I mean, who knows what could happen between then. And it kind of, another thing that just sucks is that, like, Wilkins could not stay healthy, because it would be beautiful to have picks 98, 99 back-to-back in this draft, man. Like, that pick being all the way at the end of the 4th round, being really a 5th rounder when all is said and done, like, that stings, man. That's just bad luck. You know what I mean? Because if we all were worried about Robert Hunt making the 3rd round compensatory pick, turns out he did, and the problem was Christian Wilkins.
Yeah, did you see they had JJ Pegas at fullback? They had Marcus Yarns at wide receiver.
Yeah, dude, it's interesting. It's kind of becoming like backyard football at the combine a little bit, where they're just trying to see what they have.
Yeah,
like
where
JJ
you fit.
Pegas, he's a guy that I actually like in round 5 a lot as a defensive lineman. I just like him. I mean, I guess he could do that oversized fullback at the goal line kind of thing, but like he's actually a good NFL quality defensive lineman in my opinion.
And a kid who blew up the Senior Bowl a little bit, tested really well today. We're looking for DTs, man. CJ West at Indiana. He had a 45-40, 287 20-yard split, a 173 10-yard split, 33-inch vertical at 316.
Yeah, he's a good player. I like him a lot.
Right?
Yeah, I like him a lot. And that's where, like, I've said this, man. If this is the draft where you walk away with 3 defensive linemen, so be it, because you're not going to have the strength of, like, this defensive line group next year. Yeah. It's hard to find this. When Daniel Jeremiah told you he has 24 guys that he would draft in the first 2 days or 3 days or whatever it was, like, that doesn't happen. Like, if you got, like, Joshua Farmer, Jamari Caldwell, Aeneas Peebles, those type of guys in round 3 and round 4, like, keep building the trenches, man.
Has Farmer tested yet? That guy's going to blow it up, too.
Yeah, he'll probably end up being a round 3 guy when it's all said and done. Ty Robinson from Nebraska blew up to 40.
Oh, yeah, he did. What was his
was it 483? Wow.
I expected a better 40 from Farmer. I'm waiting for the linebackers. I want to see my boy Demetrius Knight and Chris Paul tests.
Yeah.
The measurements, I know people are a little worried about a guy like Chris Paul coming in at like 225, but like, man, you watch him, the instincts, the pursuit ability, the closing speed, just the football IQ. He plays bigger than he is, shirt tackler. I'm not as worried with a guy like that. Like, instincts aren't, you either got him or you don't. You can put a little mass on your body when you're a really good athlete. You know what I mean? So, man, I'm waiting for these. I think Demetrius Knight's going to test out of the water.
Yeah, no, I like some of the linebackers in the group, for sure. I want to see the kid from UCLA. I want to see what he does. He's a guy whose stock seems it seems like he's soaring up boards right now. I still like Barrett Carter from Clemson a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There's some guys, I mean, that could definitely, and like, I'm interested to see what we do, man, because if we keep Dodson, I still think there is a need at linebacker on this team. I really do. And like, you got, like, it's a good year to have those 2 4th and 2 5th round picks. I do think it is a good year to have that middle round draft capital with the Dolphins do. I think you can really build some good depth players that can develop into potential starters down the road.
One of my top free agent additions that I want is Dre Greenlaw. Man, imagine if you got a Demetrius Knight on like a day 2 too. Like, I don't know, he hasn't tested yet, but he came in and measured 6'1.5", 235, 10-inch hands. So yeah, 80. He had 32.5-inch arms and an almost 80.5 wingspan. And I think he's going to test really well.
Yeah. Look, Knight's a guy that's been on the rise steady throughout this process. He's probably going to go higher than people think. He got early round 3, probably. I think he could go.
Yeah. Jay Higgins is another guy out of Iowa that
I like him too, and he's deemed, I guess, I put in quotes, undersized, but I like him a lot. He's just a good football player.
Zach Thomas. Why do Dolphin fans care about this? Do y'all not remember Zach Thomas? What was he deemed as coming out?
Well, and that's what Fred Warner. Everyone said Fred Warner was like coming out of BYU.
Yeah, like, let's relax here, people. You know what I mean? So quick, so quick. Now let's get into this because I know I don't know if you saw, but I was in Vegas, Neal. I shouted you on the beginning of one of my videos. I did a in-depth video about why I thought the Miami Dolphins should probably explore trading for Joe Milton as a developmental guy based on where he would rank in this year's class. Unlike this year's class, he has a year of coaching under his belt. And if you really look in his preseason games, and his performance in those preseason games all the way to the final performance against Buffalo. And hey, people can say there were backups in Buffalo, but he looked worse against guys who are going to be stocking shelves in the fourth quarter of preseason games than he did against legitimate NFL backups in Buffalo that he looked really good against. Even some of his highlights were throws that were incomplete because he was just out of this world. I made a case that, hey, developmental wise, I would offer a 4th round pick because other than Dart, Milroe, Shedeur, and Cam, is anyone in this class even worth a top 4 pick? I would say Tyler Show was, if he wasn't, going to be 26 by week 1 of the season. I'm not even exaggerating,
Right.
because you look at the tools and stuff. But anyways, Jalen Milroe, Neal, let's flash back. You remember Stephen Ross was enamored with Lamar Jackson. Enamored. Okay. Jalen Milroe is going to be the best testing quarterback. All right. I think his and Jackson Dart's testing, please, boys, test out of this world so you can go up into the 10th and push guys down to us. Please, God, let that happen. But Milroe, if he's on the board at 48, given Stephen Ross's enamoration, how enamored he was, and his adoration for Lamar Jackson, is that a guy you could see Stephen Ross pushing Chris Greer and company to take? Because remember, Stephen Ross can look them dead into the soles of their eyes and say, I was right last time. Take this guy. And it kind of reminds you, Neal, of Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz had just got his money. Carson Wentz had an MVP-like season that got, they ended up going to the Super Bowl, but he was hurt. Tua's led the league in passer rating, completion percentage, and passing yards. Jalen Milroe's got tools for days, but looks like he's got to sit for, I think, 2 years a la Jordan Love. Is this a guy you could see Stephen Ross banging the table for at 48? If somehow, some way, this guy tests the way we think he's going to, and he's going to be still on the board?
Yeah, look, he should, and I am. I mean, he's my QB2, Jalen Milroe.
Yeah,
and
I know, yep.
I know his shortcomings. And it was like when I had Joe Milton ranked as the 6th best quarterback last year. Like, I do care about accuracy. I think it does matter as a passer. But I think you can improve people, and I don't think everybody has to have Tua Tagovailoa's accuracy to be good in the NFL. Yep. We all need elite traits. We need something we're great at to be a good quarterback, right? And what I liked about Milton, his ability to be creating chaos, his athleticism, he has an absolute hose for an arm. There's a lot of things. Like the warts, like if you look at all the quarterbacks that are the best players in football, they had questions and warts coming to the league. Pat Mahomes, was he a product of Texas Tech's offense? Everybody puts up huge number in Texas Tech's offense, right? Mm-hmm. Lamar Jackson, inaccurate. Bill Polian said he was a running back at the next level. Josh Allen, it was the school and the conference that he played in, inaccurate as a passer, right? A lot of these guys had warts, and they're 3 of the best players, if not the best players in the league, right? Joe Burrow left Ohio State to go to LSU, right? And found his rhythm. Everybody has their own unique path that they get. What I like about Jalen Milroe, day one, you throw him on a football field, the only quarterback who's a better runner than him, I think, is Lamar Jackson. And that's with all due respect to Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts. I think Milroe's just special. That Georgia game, when he carried probably the worst Alabama offense we've seen in recent years to beat a Georgia team that's littered with Michael Williams, Nazir Stackhouse, Jalen Walker, Malachi Starks, Dalen Everett. Like, we all know the players there. Like, he carried that team. And he had a shitty end of the season. He turned the ball over a lot. But I think that gets better in the right situation. The question Stephen Ross has to ask himself is, can Mike McDaniel develop him? You got to have a plan to draft him, and he's not a 2025 player. He's probably a late 2026 player, early 2027. Like you said, he needs refinement. He needs time. But if he is the guy who's got those traits, and develops into that type of player, are you looking at one of the most dangerous players in football because the NFL is not ready for his speed and ability to run the football, right? And he won't ever be like, the passer that I guess is the old school throwback pocket passing type of quarterback. But I'll tell you this, I think he has the capacity to extend plays with his legs, extend drives with his legs. And I do think when a play breaks down, he can go on the run. And when you have people like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on the outside, and you buy them 3 seconds extra to get open, they'll get open. So I love Milroe. I think he might actually make it to 48, depending on how this combine goes. But with that said, I just don't think the Dolphins have the guts to pull the trigger, man. I really don't. I think they're fully committed to Tua for one more year. If he misses any time, I do think they would pull the plug after that season. But I think Milroe is the risk worth taking, and he might be a bust when it's all said and done. And I can be wrong, but I'd rather take the chance on being wrong with somebody that has an elite trait that is translating very well in today's NFL. Like the quarterbacks that are winning playoffs and championships in this league are ones that are making plays with their legs as much as their arm. I think it would be amazing to see. They've met with them formally. We know that. But I just think that the Dolphins have too many other needs that are going to reign supreme for Chris Greer and staff. And I don't think it's going to happen, if I'm being honest. I honestly am afraid that it's going to be a guy like Dylan Gabriel.
Or Quinn Ewers is the one I'm really worried about.
Yeah, I read today the Colts like Quinn Ewers a lot. And, but I do think the Dolphins will have interest in Quinn Ewers for sure.
Okay, let me ask you this. You don't think that it could buy them some time, though? Like, if they take a guy like that and he flashes, all of a sudden, you might open your window a little bit like, hey, we made it work with your guy, but now look at what happened when Mike drafted his guy. Look at, and if Stephen Ross is enamored with him, you don't think that he would buy that sell?
Man, I would hope so. I don't know. I don't know how much Steve Ross is going to meddle in it. I think Mike McDaniel might be intrigued on a quarterback, though. If you're thinking about Mike McDaniel's situation and you're a coach, right? If everything goes wrong this year, you could totally turn heel and throw Tua under the bus at his availability, right? And if you have a guy that you've already selected that you can mold, the franchise has kind of got to commit to you to help mold that guy you just spent the second-round pick on. I get the love for Jackson Dart. I do think he's a good player. I just see more upside for me personally with Milroe. I'm not a Shedeur Sanders guy. I think he's okay. I don't think he's a top 10 type of player. I think he's more of an early second round, and because he's Deion's son, he's getting overhyped a little bit. I just
I got Dart higher than Shedeur, man. I just
Yeah. I think if the Giants took Shedeur at 3. Whoever their coach is right now, I don't even remember it's still Dable.
Yeah.
Good luck, man. You probably will get your resume ready.
If Milroe was more refined as a passer, I'd have him above Shedeur too.
Oh yeah. I say this. I don't think you can. I think the situation for him would be a perfect spot. Would be on the Steelers behind a veteran for a year in the AFC North, because the Steelers can always run the football well. They have a good offensive line. And they have a good defense, and he's the type of quarterback that if you can train him to make plays with his legs, be smart with the football, he can win you games when things are sloppy around him. And that's what I like about him. But, I'm intrigued a lot by him. I'm excited to see what he does.
And you don't think McDaniel and Greer would be intrigued? If you think about it, he's like if Huntley was a really elite athlete and had actual really high upside as an NFL quarterback. You know what I mean? He's like Huntley on steroids.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Again, dude, I think this guy comes in and can help you. And I'll tell you what I like about him is, one of the things that we can't convert short down situations. I really think a big part of that is, we just can't operate with a quarterback sneak right now. We just can't. And
Yeah,
even
year
if you
one,
got
develop him as a passer and just bring him in with sets to quarterback sneak it.
right, and bring him as the guy. I mean, like him on 31 converting those things. Like, because you think about it, like he's a big, strong guy, man. He ain't just some little dude who's fast. He's chiseled, man. He's built to take a beating. He's kind of. I said this, and I'll get a lot of like, you're crazy for this. There is, when I watch him, early Josh Allen vibes, not MVP Josh Allen that we're seeing now, but there's vibes of when Josh Allen was first in the league, was a turnover machine, yet he was still intriguing to watch because he made big plays with his legs, had a good arm. Like, I see some of that in Jalen Milroe, and it's got to take the right coaching staff to build him. But I will say this, I've been very critical of Mike McDaniel, but damn, that's a canvas I'd like to see him mold right there, man. I'd like to see him have a guy with that athletic profile and see what he could do.
Yeah, what do you think the chances are that we got 4 quarterbacks in the first round? Because I think when Milroe blows it out, I don't even see him getting out of the 20s. I don't see Dart getting out of the first round either.
I'm going to go with 3. I think one of them's going to fall because it's just, I think there's so many other players that are going to go. But I will say that's if the draft order stays chalk. When it gets to those late picks in the end of round 1 and people want that 5th-year option, I think you could see teams like if the Titans didn't go quarterback in round 1 and they do go Abdul Carter, I could see them jumping back in, trading back with a team like Baltimore who's known for always trading back and acquiring more picks. I could totally see someone coming in the back of round 1 to get a quarterback, especially if he needs development like a Milroe, to get that 5th-year option. Year 1, you're practically redshirting them, and then you still control them for 4 more years on your team.
Yeah. Man.
But you said this, and I agree. Let these guys blow up the combine. Like the thing about the combine that's great, right? We all fall in love with players and positions. When players blow up that are going to go ahead of us, it's a great thing because I've learned this, man. When you watch college football and you make your initial draft boards, you might move people up and down a few spots, but there are certain football players that are just good. From the time you watch them, they're always good. And those players become like yesterday's news. So they kind of get stale. And everybody else who's the new fresh, bright new shiny toy moves ahead of them. That's where a guy like Will Johnson, to me, feels like he could fall down into our laps at 13. Like, all these other guys are running fast 40s and jumping out of the gym. But the tape shows Will Johnson. Like, I will say this, Will Johnson, Travis Hunter is I have as a higher rated football player because I think Travis Hunter actually is a very good cornerback who's a top 2 in the position. He's a top 2 receiver. But I think Will Johnson might be the better overall cornerback than Travis Hunter. Battle tested in the Big Ten. I'm a big Will Johnson fan, and that's where let Shemar Stewart, let these guys, because I think you're 100% right. If Jackson Dart blows it up and the Giants take him at 3, that is great for the Dolphins.
Yeah. Man, gotta love draft talk, man. James Pierce, listen, I don't care if the character concerns or whatever it is that's causing him to drop. If he drops, someone's gonna get a steal with that kid in that.
I mocked him to the Buffalo Bills at the end of the first round before all this character stuff came out, and a Bills fan wrote me, "It's so clear that you hate the Bills," and I was like, "Wait, why?" He's like, "James Pierce is," and I'm like, "Dude, James Pierce at 28 would be a freaking steal." I'm sorry. Sorry, I gave you one of the most explosive pass rushers in the draft.
Do you have a first round grade on him?
I will. Yeah. I like James. I like him. I like him better than guys like Nick Scorton from Texas A&M.
I like do too. Yeah.
I like explosive football players, man. I think when you
especially at that position.
Yeah, you might not be fundamentally sound. Like, I think Chop has so much work to do to get the fundamentals down. But how did he win this year? He was just a better athlete than everyone against him.
But he also became hard. But what was he doing? He was using more pass rush moves, and he's showing more tricks in his bag than what we've seen too.
Oh, dude, he's a quick study. He proved that this year, right? Like, the improvement from the first quarter of the season to the last was massive for him. Massive. Yeah. So, I mean, look, dude, Look, if Bradley Chubb's on this open day roster, I'm going to be shocked. Jalen Phillips to me is a great football player, but he's a question mark on his health. Like the pass rush is a need for the Dolphins. Like let's see, I like Mohamed Kamara as a 5th-round pick. Is he ever going to be more than a depth guy? We don't know, right? Like we just don't know at this point. Like I will say this, I'm not shying away from this edge group by any means. If there's a guy that's there at pick 48 and you want to take him, like go ahead and add another valuable pass rusher to this defense.
Yeah. Guys, do us a favor, smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Always a good conversation as always. Neal, hey, next week when we get back together, the combine will be over and wrapped up. And it only gets better from here on out, starting with, tomorrow. We start to get to some, what do we got? DBs tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, we'll have DBs tomorrow, and that's always a good one because look, the safety room to me, you said it, like we got to pay attention there. We got to see like who are some guys that are going to kind of ascend here because we are in the safety market, and we might take 2 in this draft. You never know. So, but it's a great time of year, man. I love this time of year. I mean, we're already closing the end of February here, man. Just think about this. We're almost in that 60-day window, or we are in the 60-day window, I think, tomorrow, right? Of the NFL draft, man. Like, holy crap, that is awesome to say. And I remember when I saw the tweet that we're 100 days away. Those last 40 days flew by, man. And now the real fun starts. The stain of last football season and the disappointment is away. You got to be focused on how to make this team better. And free agency, there's not a lot of home runs to hit with Trey Smith obviously getting tagged today, but go hit some doubles. Go hit a couple doubles like Brewer, like you did last year, and then have a good draft, man, and build a foundation.
And that guard class is decent. The free agent guard class is decent.
Yeah, go get some guys. Go build it, and let's rock and roll, man. So, it's going to be a fun couple weeks.
Tomorrow is DBs and tight ends. Saturdays, running backs, quarterbacks, and wideouts. And then Sunday is offensive linemen.
Damn, that's fun. Offensive linemen. I love watching the offensive linemen.
So do I.
That's like my favorite part of the
sport. It is. Yeah, it is.
It's awesome. It's good. And it's such a good group.
And then, the running backs and the wideouts, you want to see who's going to have potentially. Do you think Arian Smith has a chance at cracking the record?
Dude, it's funny you say that. I predicted earlier today, I was talking with our guy, Steve Knight, and I said that I thought he was going to be one of the biggest risers in the draft. I said that he's going to work his way into the 3rd round, and I think he's going to run the fastest 40 of anyone at the combine.
Do you think he's going to vie for the record or no?
No, I think he falls short. I'm going to go that he doesn't do it, but he comes close.
Yeah, it's man, I don't know. It's the underwear Olympics, but it's exciting.
Yeah, dude, it's fun, man. It's fun to watch these guys profile in athletics. And, we spend a lot of time looking at these prospects over the course of the year. It's fun to see if your eye test and your evaluation meets the athletic profile that you see at the combine. It really is. It's not like these all end all be all, but it is good to see. And I always say this, if 2 players are close on my board, give me the guy who's more athletic and I'll figure it out.
Finally, I got to ask you this. What do you think about the rumor that the combine's likely headed to Minneapolis?
Hate it, man. Like, I hate when people change traditions. And, man, I don't know if you've ever been to Minnesota, but, dude, it's freezing there. It's the coldest experience I've ever had in my entire life. One year when I went in the winter without a jacket, my tears were literally frozen on my face. But, I hate it, man. Don't mess with traditions. And if that Lucas Oil, there's a lot of good hotels. I just went there for the Royal Rumble, man. It's a really easy town to get in and out of. The hotel's right across the street. There's a cool, fun area of bars. That when I was there, it was an Indiana versus Purdue basketball game, and the place was rocking at the bar. It's a really cool vibe. I don't know, man. I think too many traditions are going away, and I think St. Elmo Steakhouse in Indianapolis is everything the combine should be.
Have you had it? Is it good food there?
I mean, look, everyone talks about the shrimp cocktail. It's good. I mean, it's a nice place. You wear collared shirts and stuff there. So my vibe. Like, that's cool when I do it with my wife. If I'm out, like, having beers with the fellows and trying to enjoy my time, find me a good local sports bar with some wings and some cold beverages, and I'm good.
Yeah. Guys, smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. I'm going to be back probably tomorrow. If not, then I will be back this weekend for sure. Combine's underway. Word and rumblings should be starting to come out, especially next week. I have a 3 takes update coming for y'all tonight. So Patreons and channel members, be out on the lookout for that episode of 3 takes. I was going to drop it yesterday, but I'm going to drop it tonight. So be out on that lookout for that. As always, fins up all day, every day. And we will catch y'all on the next one. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. We are under 30 away from 17K. Let's get there.